something that had just ripped the heart out of me. You know what's done is done. You know you can't change the past. And still there's a dreadful sadness in it. It's difficult to rewatch, impossible not to, and dreadful in its foretelling. Is suicide the deadly interaction between a successful life and faulty wiring? Or is there some common factor that drives both life and death? And when our lives crack, and the loveliest mirror cracks, is it not alright to rest, step aside, and heal? We can't put our faith in God's hands. God, forgive me.
I'm interning at the moment with pre-K to teen individuals who have been kicked out of school.
And I have a patient right now who, I mean, I can see it from 100 miles away. This peripartum depression was gonna go into postpartum depression, and that would trigger her OCD focus units. In psychiatry, they call them focus units. So I was on the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender HIV unit.
I've seen one situation where the female she had been cutting, and when they say they haven't been cutting for a while, they say they stay clean, but she decided that she told the therapist, I don't want to be here anymore, I want to die, I don't want to. So.
And it was a huge transition for me because first I'd been out of the country for 3 years, and I came back and here was voicemail and here was AIDS. Seemed at the same time, both of them horrible. And a lot of patients, I actually didn't know this until relatively recently, with histories of childhood sexual abuse get really triggered around counseling.
They're very careful, very careful about, and they take it very seriously. When a teen or an adolescent or even a kid says they want to die, they make sure that that kid does not go home that day.
A lot of them don't breastfeed because it's that involuntary, you want something from my body that is really dissociative for them and have a really hard time doing it. But there were very young men who were admitted to our unit who were in the middle of giving a lecture or something, and they suddenly became vacant and blank. The virus had invaded their brains and they had become vegetables, basically. Well, they could walk.
Probably because there's been no way for them to be able to help themselves. So they use self-medication to try to help themselves, because obviously it's a stigmatized illness in the society, I think, right?
And they were completely unable to handle their personal functions. They were incontinent of urine and feces and didn't seem to notice. And I'm really honestly, like I said, I've been doing this for 12 years and I've really only learned this in the last year. Nobody teaches it to you, right? We had many people with HIV and opportunistic infections and they weren't eating. And as nurses, we wanted to give them food and nutrition and heighten their appetite. It's just such a shame that the integration of mental health into frontline medical care, it just has such a long way to come.
So then they go to school and it's psychosocial, because they're going in an environment in which they're treated poorly, so that reinforces their opinion of themselves as being just shit. They're like, well, I have no other options. There's nobody like me, there's nobody to help me, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to end it.
So there was an attempt to give them Requiem, which was a chemical that was supposed to mimic THC and allow them to get back their appetite. But we had a woman who actually killed herself 6 weeks postpartum. One of my colleagues had just seen her 2 weeks before.
They're a little bit odd, they're a little bit weird. Yeah, a lot of that often related with a particular mental illness such as depression or such as bipolar, and at that age you can be diagnosed with bipolar sclerosis.
And the other members, almost exclusively the gay members of our nursing team, were very angry about this and said, what are you doing? You just want to fatten them up before they die? And thought, like, hey, maybe she's a little depressed. Let me pull out my depression screening tool. And she scored like borderline, not even depressed, much less severely. There was no ability to save anybody. They had HIV and they knew where they were going. They were going to die, basically. So they thought it was extremely cruel to give people an appetite and perhaps prolong their agony. And I just couldn't wrap myself around it. At the time, I just thought ethically we should use everything we can to keep people alive as long as possible. It was a huge thing for me to understand and accept. Our whole peripartum depression community was just rocked. But we worked so hard at this. But the truth of the matter is, oh my God,
they're still seeing that difference. They're still seeing that
box. You have this whole spiral of creating of that permanent plaques on your brain. And you could have a variety of symptoms that are similar to Parkinsonian symptoms. You could have blood flow spasm, meaning your eyes constantly fluttering up and down, and you're very sensitive to light, and you could not breathe because when you're aging, your focus on making your eyes become better.
Being mentally alive and mentally ill, being like something like something like that.
Music.
Why should we have to suffer living so that you won't get upset at us?
Both times that I made the attempt on my life were when I was doing really well. I was feeling so actualized.
I suspected I was depressed for a while, but it's not like anything in Malaysia ever pursues it.
One time was in early college. I was very alone and was not getting to where I was expecting to be.
It was a very high pressure situation at my school. Like you have to get good grades, and if you're sick, show up anyway because that's what matters.
Lost a bunch of weight and had been told that everything will get better once you lose weight. You know, people will like you more if you lose weight. People will accept you into their dance groups if you lose weight. You'll get a date if you lose weight. Lost weight, graduated from high school, went to college, and nothing happened.
You know, when I got diagnosed, my headmistress was really lovely to me. Said, "Oh, someone last year had similar, and she skipped that year and was tutored at home. Would you like to do that?" I wish I said yes.
I never felt suicidal growing up. It didn't occur to me ever.
I said, "No, it's my final year of school. If I have a big exam, I'll stick to it." I skipped half the year.
So I guess my body changed, but I didn't. So one night I was just really tired of it and fed up. I took everything I had, whatever I could shove down my throat that I could find, I took.
But the time that I dipped into a sense of my own suicidality is when I was in an abusive relationship. A little bit in my postpartum depression, I probably dipped into that too.
First time I was 11, really bad year at school, intense racism, and you know, people just finding ways to pick on me, teachers and students alike, and feeling like no one cares.
My brother, he has Asperger's syndrome.
But man, when I was in the abusive relationship and in these moments when you are so scared and you feel so cornered and so frightened, there's no way out, it actually looks like an option. Suicide actually looks like an option.
Tried to cut my throat with a pair of scissors in the prayer room, and the only response was someone else there going, "You're gonna go to hell for that."
Ironically enough, as soon as I was done with that and laid down in bed to just wait for things to end, a dorm mate knocks on my door and asks me if I want to go out to get frozen yogurt, which was really like the first time someone invited me to go do something.
And it was when he started middle school, he started getting bullied a lot.
How can I get out of this situation? There's no way out. Something happens in your brain when you're being abused where you can't see the way out.
You'll get a date if you lose weight.
So when I was seeing booklets that last time, that night I was looking through painless ways to kill myself, but couldn't find anything. So
I went with her and we drove over there. I got frozen yogurt and pasta and stuff like that, and I ate it. I don't know if maybe that's what saved me or not, but after that I started getting sick.
There was at one point when I was being physically, mentally, emotionally manipulated and abused where I felt like I had to actually disappear somehow. So I sort of became catatonic.
And then he started doing these weird things that I think people started pulling him for. Like he sang this song about Pegasus. I didn't think it was very weird. He sang it as a project in front of the class. Some people liked it, but some people bullied him for it.
a lot of it's not necessarily I want to die, but I want to disappear. Because if you die, people mourn you. If you disappear, no one remembers.
And then the other time, ironically enough, I was working with Theater Unlimited, doing everything I wanted. And the whole job situation was perfect. I was making good things happen.
And just was non-responsive to him. It was the only way I could think to escape in that particular moment, was to actually disappear in my mind and not respond. And I went there for like an hour maybe.
I would get really freaked out when he would run away. So I would chase after him down the street because I was really afraid of where he was going. But he always came back. I stopped going to dance because I just couldn't stand that. I couldn't stand not knowing.
I feel like our society as a whole doesn't really have a good grasp of death. And so death is always something to be avoided, to be feared.
This job and a couple of days got cut.
Bad, never die.
One day, it was really out of the blue, he told my mom that he understood why he had this disorder. But then a couple of days later, he got expelled from the school, and I didn't understand why he would just change. Like, why one day he understood what his disorder was, and another.
Kind of emboldened by the power of theater, and we said we're going to bring all sorts of people here and do a show and celebrate Theater Unlimited and the arts and what's being cut.
I was really afraid.
I lost a co-worker who was bipolar and hung himself in a mental institution. So he was in there supposedly getting the help he needed.
bad, evil, bad, never die.
And he didn't?
I was really afraid.
When truthfully we all die at some point, literally or figuratively. Death happens. Creation comes from destruction, comes from creation.
This is the first time I really went against the grain, and it scared the crap out of me.
This is also the same year that I lost a friend to an overdose. He also had mental illness, and he was an alcoholic, so he was self-medicating with that, and he must have taken a painkiller or something and just died.
And it scared the crap out of me.
And I feel like because we aren't able to talk about death frankly and with all the complications,
He would just start yelling in this really crazy voice. He kind of had a high-pitched voice, but it would crack and vibrate the whole house.
Again, I emptied my medicine cabinet and laid down on the couch and decided that it was, time to go.
even stuff like I wish I could die and have that recognized as just a thing, we don't necessarily have to read into that.
But I'm getting all weepy now because I had a guide dog at the time, Selma, and I was so worried about her. What would happen to her in my apartment by herself if I went and if no one knew or, came to find me?
Sometimes he said, I'd like to see myself dead. He would bring up that word, and I just I didn't realize it was so close.
And it scared the crap out of me.
He was also a lover. I'd never ever lost a lover to suicide, so it really landed very differently with me.
Suicide then becomes something you never are able to tackle.
But then I was kicking myself, that didn't have the capacity, to sort of save him, to taboo to say stop drinking, destroying yourself. It takes so much courage to say that to a person.
Should you just suffer living because you're living, and that's better?
So I called guide dogs. And I told them, I said, I'm having a medical emergency and I need someone to come pick up Selma. They said, well, have you called 911? And I said, no, I'm just going to go take a taxi. I can't take Selma. I'm getting too sick.
Afraid? It's ironic. His brother spoke at the memorial and he said, why was I so afraid of your death that I wasn't ever able to say how much I could be alive. So it's like, and in fact, I was fearing what was going to end up happening.
I wrote a poem about death being just like an unwritten book for the person, a half-read book for a person who's close to the person who's died.
To say that I would be able to handle a guide dog again, and I got Selma back.
What makes a person go to the place where they think they're not needed or valued by other people in their life?
And I got Selma back.
Just being able to accept that may happen.
I'm pretty much staying alive because,
in fact, I was fearing what was going to end up happening.
I want to dance.
And that's okay. And if that's what happens, that's what happens. Easing suffering, whatever that is. Okay.
this author that I really love. He does these amazing whimsical books about dogs. These beautiful woodcut, printing. And he built this dog chapel and everything. And I just bought his book, Dog Chapel, and this happened between Modesto and Merced. And so somewhere on the back roads, because we didn't take 99, it looked like this back road that's pretty easy. So that particular day, I think he was feeling really left out, and also he had been feeling left out.
He was my mother's boyfriend, and my mother had just gotten pregnant with my little sister when he killed himself.
Anyway, I was like, I really gotta get in touch with this guy because we're on the same point of view, and it'd be really fun if he's into it to incorporate his work somehow. Somewhere in between these two towns, that's where he ran his motorcycle into our car. My brother called me up, and I hello? And then he said, I got some bad news to report too. And he came down back to my house, I'm like, what? And he just sat on the couch and started hugging me and crying and crying and crying.
It's left me really with a feeling that's really hard because I have a lot of friends who've had their own suicidal tendencies, and it's left me having a very hard time sympathizing with that because I feel like what I witnessed was the impact and loss and devastation everyone else was left with. That he was free from that devastation in my mind.
Lo and behold, he was dealing with depression and took his life at the end of 2010. So that was kind of intense. And then I ended up, there was an article, the fact that he had left a suicide note and he was a writer for the local newspaper.
I had to leave college at 18 and come home and take care of my mother and make sure she didn't kill herself.
And it's so funny because it's a good thing to remember how much it hurts other people, even people that didn't really worry for me as a kid because it was in the newspaper, and then my mom was like, oh my god, like that guy, he ended up in the newspaper, and so, and my dad did work for all their properties, like handyman, and so he had all his tools up in this shed up at this property on Panoramic, but it had these open beams like this. And so he went into that workroom and tied a noose around one of those open beams and hung himself. And I can just imagine, because he'd been there all day, I hate to even think about it, what that would be looking like. And did he change his mind when he kicked the box out? How did it all go? And he'd been trying to kill himself since he was a teenager. So he finally did it. He just couldn't take the pain. He felt such guilt because he had sexually molested me. And then
I went very immediately I became my mother's mother. We already had a bit of that dynamic, but I think it meant I had to step into a caretaker position way before I was thinking I would have to.
I never really thought about it affecting my life. I do have definitely a fear of driving. I just got my license for the first time in 17 years. And even when I had a car, I never drove it, so maybe it affected that way. I never get a connection between the two experiences. He did that to me. It was just like, oh, now you did it, motherfucker. So now you go and you hang yourself, the worst way, most disgusting, horrible, hideous way that you could. For me, just the thought of the neck, and just hanging there, and I was like, that is just, they really stabbed us in the back now.
I went from having a very, artistic hippie mother into having a very scared, worried, she's still an artist. She comes from, she can't help but move through the world from a place of fear and guilt and shame.
I felt very, very, it was very selfish. Very selfish. Because it's your pain was so much more important that you just couldn't hang on, whatever. I know what to say.
find a way to stop fighting. She couldn't really ask her friends for help, she'd fought them away. She tried asking the experts, but no one would help her. She tried praying to God like she never prayed before. I didn't get an answer. Did no one get it? Did they really want her to suffer? Did they want her to suffer? Oh, she was pretty adamant about not wanting to die. Oh, no. Because if you die, people mourn you. If you disappear, no one remembers. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to be forgotten. And then one day, she decided to stop, to rest, step aside, and heal. And as she let go of all the loss, let go of all the pain, let go of all the searching, all the fighting, she thought,